Act 1 of Velasco by Epes Sargent. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Dramatis Personae. Ferdinand, King of Castile.
Read by Wayne Cook.
Favio, his chamberlain.
Read by Jim Hedrick.
Delerma.
Read by Alan Mapstone.
Velasco, son of Delerma.
Read by Jake Malizia.
Gonzalez.
Read by Algie Pag.
Julio, son of Gonzalez.
Read by Andrew Latheron.
Hernando, his kinsman.
Read by Adrian Stevens.
Mendoza.
Read by Rick Cordray.
Alfonso.
Read by Greg Giordano.
Nuno.
Read by Larry Wilson.
Carlos, a page.
Read by Todd.
Knight.
Read by Mike Menalakis.
Isadora.
Read by Matea Bracic.
First Lady.
Read by Michelle Eaton.
Second Lady.
Read by Lynette Calkins.
Stage directions. Read by Kelly Taylor. The scene is laid in Burgos, about the year 1046. Velasco, a tragedy in 5 acts, by Epes Sargent. Act 1, Scene 1. Before the castle of Delerma. Time, sunset. Enter Velasco in the full costume of a knight of the 11th century, followed by Alfonso, his squire.
Home, home at last, Alfonso. There they shine, the old ancestral bulwarks in the rays of the declining sun. A year has passed since I last gazed upon them. There they rise, the same, as when a careless child I played beneath their mighty shadows. How each nook prates of the olden time. The very air is fragrant as the breath of infancy. Old towers, I bring you no unworthy inmate, no spotted scutcheon, no inglorious name. Alfonso, by the calendar, what day? Is it not Santiago's?
Aye, my lord.
This day completes my term of banishment.
Banishment?
Hast thou never yet divined the motive which has kept my visor closed now a long 12-month to all human eyes, save thine alone? That after victory the king himself has sued to me in vain to unbar the iron mask that hid my features. Had I complied, and he redeemed his oath, my instant death had followed the disclosure.
My lord, the cause did not affect thy honor?
Askest thou? The cause was trivial, for the king was young and hasty. Thus the occurrence chanced. The Count Gonzalez and his majesty were altercating in the hall of council. As I approached, the king upraised his arm to strike the impetuous peer. I interposed, perhaps ungently, in a monarch's quarrel, and turned the royal anger on myself. He banished me the kingdom for a year, the penalty being death if, in that time, Castile saw my return. This night completes my banishment, unveils my countenance to king and father. They will start, Alfonso, in the masked cavalier, the sable knight, or whatsoever name they choose to give me, to find Velasco.
Whose renown shall be—
Spare me thy herald's bombast. I would see my father, yet I dally with the joy. Now it is in my reach. Tonight the king, in honour of the unknown cavalier who fought beneath his banner, whose return is promised on the occasion, gives a banquet. Here is my reverence due ere I depart. One blast to call the warder. Quick, Alfonso.
Alfonso sounds a bugle.
Dost thou not close thy visor?
Velasco, closing his visor.
Well bethought. I wonder if old Nuno yet is warder, far back as memory goes.
Enter Nuno.
My lord, behold.
Nuno.
Would you betray yourself?
Not yet.
Who calls?
Is Count Delerma in his hall?
Who may it be that asks?
A Christian knight. No farther title will thy master need.
Thou'rt right in that, but he is not within. Gone with the rest of the Burgos to the palace, where the king banquets the masked cavalier. Sir knight, thou art masked.
I shall continue so, Knowst thou, old man, aught of the son Velasco?
Ah, 'tis a sorry subject. Don't recall it.
Sorry? What mean you?
He, sir, poor Velasco, when last we heard of him, had joined the Moors, turned infidel, and fought against Castile.
Nuno, 'tis false. Turn infidel. He'd sooner die by the torture. Pray you, pardon me, that is the rumour, that he'd joined the Moors?
Ay, sir, it makes my master wondrous sad. But why art thou so moved?
I knew Velasco. Farewell. I'll seek thy master at the palace.
Exit.
A single word with you, sir. Who's your master?
You'll be surprised to learn.
I am all ears.
Then, by thine own admission, thou art an ass.
Thou art keen, sir varlet. From Toledo, eh?
No, from the wars.
Oh, then your master is...
Precisely.
Yes, I thought so.
You have hit it.
Now, to surprise me with his name.
His name? You'll be discreet?
Oh, trust me. Who's your master?
Alfonso, hesitating.
I shall not tell you.
Exit.
What a close-lipped rogue. Just as my ear was ready for the secret, to draw it back. I've surely heard that voice, but where or when? To whom may it belong? Well, I will not puzzle my old brains.
Exit. Scene 2. An anteroom in the royal palace. Enter Fabio and a knight.
Do the guests yet assemble?
Aye. Pass on, sir. They fill the vestibule.
The visored knight, is he arrived?
There yet has been no signal of his approach.
And know you not, Fabio, whose face that visor hides?
No more than thou. But that he is the bravest in Castile, I can attest. Twice in the last campaign he saved our sovereign's life. Twice madly brave did he roll back the crimson tide of war. Upon our foes doing such deeds of wonder, our troops regarded him as more than human, and raised the battle shout of Santiago. But look, more guests arrive.
Farewell, Fabio.
Exit. Enter Delerma.
Welcome, Delerma. I had feared thy absence. 'Tis the first time since thy sons. Pardon me, I did not mean rudely to touch that chord.
A transitory pang. I come to see this knight, whose fame has pierced my solitude. Alas, Favillo, such a champion I fondly hope one day to find Velasco. And now, to think of his apostasy.
Enter Gonzales, hastily.
Gonzales, welcome. May I speak with you?
When you are not attended as present.
Exit.
The feud between you is still warm, my lord?
His anger I regard not, but more guests claim your attention. I will to the king.
Exit. Enter Hernando, Mendoza, and Carlos.
On to the presence, gentlemen. Hernando, your bride that is to be, fair Isidora, will grace our fate? Why comes she not with you?
She better likes her brother's company.
Peace, boy. Who questioned you?
I like that. Boy.
In sooth, Fabio, Isidora chose the attendance of her brother.
Is't not strange?
'Twas maiden delicacy, that was all.
Aye, that was all.
I thought you were betrothed.
True, by our fathers at an early age.
And she consents?
The bridal day is fixed.
Consents, my lord? How could you ask the question? She saw him, sir. Consent was then no virtue.
Chatterling, hush!
Look you, I wear a sword.
Exit.
A forward boy! I envy you your lot, sir. The Lady Isidora is most fair.
Shall we attend the king?
Come on, Mendoza.
Exeunt.
Now, were I only younger by a score or two of years, that laggard should not win so fair and rich a prize as Isidora, and she forsakes the lover for the brother. Strange wooing this.
Enter two ladies.
Ladies, your servant ever. Shall I be your conductor?
Offering his arm.
Is he come?
Wears he his visor yet?
What is he like?
Complexion, light or dark? What coloured hair?
Is he not handsome?
Tell us, are his eyes the true Castilian brown?
What sort of features?
Exunt omnes, talking incessantly. Enter Giulio and Isidora.
Now, by the faith of knighthood, sister mine, this unknown and redoubted cavalier with the barred visor seems to have usurped the empire of thy fancy and thy heart.
Alas, a wider empire should be his. He must be youthful, Julio, handsome, noble. Why does he hide his face behind a visor?
Oh, how a little mystery will pique thy sex's wonder, and let loose some eyes. In sterling prose he hides his face, most like to hide his ugliness.
That cannot be. They say, and I believe, that he has made an oath to mask his face from human eyes till he shall find the lady of his heart.
Nay, he has proved himself no carpet knight.
No carpet knight, indeed. It must have been a brave scene, his first entrance to the field. Our routed troops were flying in dismay before the turbaned Moors, when from the gloom of a green thicket rushed a mounted knight. His charger white as snow, his battle-axe poised in his right hand, while his left upreared the Christian ensign blazoning the cross. And as he spurred his steed, he cried aloud, "Castile and freedom!" Then arose the shout from the awed soldiers, checked in their retreat. "A miracle! A messenger from heaven fights with us! To the charge! A Santiago!" One thrill of inspiration heaved their hearts. They followed him through seas of blood and carnage. And ere the sun set, the masked cavalier had fought the battle and redeemed the field. Nay, do not laugh at me.
He will not need a herald's clamorous voice to sound his praises, nor the soft numbers of a troubadour, while thou shalt live to be his chronicler. I should be jealous now, were I Hernando. So scornful at the mention of his name, thou lovest thy kinsman.
Tell me what love is, and in all candour I will answer thee.
A cloud steeped in sunshine, an illusion on which concentrate passion's fiercest rays. Your lover's little better than a pagan. On a heart shrine he rears a human idol. Imagination heightens every charm, brings down celestial attributes to clothe it, and dupes the willing soul, until at length he kneels unto a creature of the brain, a bright abstraction. But the cynic, Time, who holds the touchstone to immortal truth, soon laughs him out of the prodigious folly. Say, art thou one of these idolaters?
'Tis very plain to me I never loved, and least of all Hernando. Trust me, Julio, I ne'er shall be the pagan you describe if I depend on him for my conversion.
'Twere best, perhaps. But didst thou ever love? Is there no flaw, no dent upon thy heart? Did ne'er a random arrow even graze it?
Dost thou remember in our childhood, Julio, a dark-haired boy, the foremost in our sports, Delerma's son? What was his name?
Velasco?
Velasco. When the feud between our fathers disparted us, we lost a welcome playmate. For years we did not meet. When last I saw him, 'twas as he went forth to his banishment, and mailed in armour he was on his steed. He saw me, smiled as I shall ne'er forget, and bending to his saddle-bows rode on. I watched him till my eyes were dim with tears.
Prithee, what inference wouldst have me draw with this pathetic story?
Inference? Nothing. It crossed my mind. I know not why. It is a pity he has joined the Moors.
Oh, thou capricious! But a moment since the visored knight claimed all thy fancy's dreams, and now?
Oh, 'tis a noble champion. I have not wavered in my admiration. Happy the fair dame at whose feet he kneels.
Carlos enters and is crossing the stage.
Carlos, boy, page.
Don Carlos!
Carlos, turning abruptly.
That's my name, lady. I shall be honored in your service.
Is he arrived? The cavalier?
Carlos, with dignity.
No, lady.
Aside.
They think of nothing but the cavalier, and will not waste a single smile on me. The cavalier? A man ashamed to show his face. I'm not afraid of him.
Exit.
Shall we not in to see the festal show?
He is not there. Why should we be in haste?
A trumpet sounds sharply.
He comes! He comes! It was his trumpet peal.
How know you it for his?
It was a note so clear and bold.
Why, how thou heart is beating. Come, we'll not lose the pageant of his entry.
Exeunt. Scene 3. A hall of state. The king on his throne, surrounded by his court, among whom are Dilerma, Gonzales, Hernando, Fabio, ladies, and etc. Julio and Isidora enter and mingle with the groups. A flourish as the scene opens. Ferdinand, rising.
He has our answer to his welcome signal. How on our army broke that trumpet voice when he rose up before our flying hosts and cried, "A rescue!"
Trumpet from without sounds twice.
He is here, my liege.
Enter with visor closed Velasco. He kneels to the king.
Rise up, sir knight, no vassal, but our friend.
Velasco, rising.
My gracious sovereign.
Nobles of Castile, it needs no commendation of our own to gild his frame or to confirm his welcome. We hail him as his country's well-tried soldier and her just pride.
Could I believe, my liege, your praises were not the unbidden impulse of a too partial kindness, I should be elated on the wings of conscious glory. But the poor bark freighted with my deserts too light a ballast has to carry sail before the fameward breath of your applause.
Enter Carlos.
My liege, a messenger without from Rome claims instant access.
Let him be admitted.
Enter a messenger in the livery of the Pope. He delivers papers, which the king peruses. Velasco goes towards Dilerma, but abruptly checks himself and bows profoundly.
Sir Knight, you leave no vantage ground for envy, if with so meek a grace you wear your laurels.
Ferdinand, rising in great agitation.
No, no, this shall not be. The Pope once more urges upon us his presumptuous mandate that we shall bow the neck to Germany and hold our own crown as Henry's willing vassal. We'll send our answer back.
Exit messenger.
Affairs of moment claim the immediate hearing of our council. Pardon us for a while, sir. My lords, on to the hall of council.
Exit Ferdinand, followed by Dilerma, Gonzales, Julio, and lords. Isidora goes up the stage, followed by Hernando. The groups gradually disperse. Velasco to Fabio.
If I err not, it is the daughter of the Count Gonzales?
You're right, sir. One would note her among 1,000.
She's passing fair.
Look you, she turns away, as conscious of our notice. 'Tis a pity she weds that recreant kinsman by her side.
Weds him? Hernando? Can she love him, sir?
Love him? She's been instructed to regard him as her intended lord. But as for love—
A cruel fate. They come this way again. Now could you help me to an audience?
If there be any virtue in my wand, thy wish shall be complied with. Don Hernando, touching the subject of our late discourse.
Exit, leading him.
Fair Isidora, might I claim from thee a moment's converse? It would be more prized than all the honours fate has heaped upon me.
Sir Knight, we knew of thy transcendent valour. We did not know thy gallantry kept pace in its excess with thy superior virtue.
Gallantry, lady? 'Tis too cold a word. Devotion is a better where thou art.
Nay, tell me of thy battles and thy perils. Dost thou not sigh already for the gleam of hostile steel, the neigh of pawing chargers, the cymbals' clash, the trumpet's thrilling shriek?
I have encountered perils ere today, but never one so imminent as that which bids me now surrender. I have seen the Moorish army in their bright array send back the sun-shafts brighter than they fell. But not the sheen of all their scimitars in one small point concentrated could eclipse a single ray shot from those lustrous eyes. Nay, turn not from me, lady. I have heard the neigh of steeds, the trumpet's thrilling note. They cannot stir my heart like thy sweet voice.
Is it not the common rhetoric of the court that thou hast culled for me? Think'st I believe I am the first to whom it has been offered?
Ah, lady, poorly can the heart disguise in flippant fancy's garniture of words its true emotion. Love's a sorry masker.
Then love bears no similitude to thee. 'Twas of the wars we spake.
Enough of them. Oh, ne'er did mariner long tossed at sea, with no benignant star to point his course, hail with more rapture the first gleam of land, than I, from war's seamed visage and wild glance, turn to the blue eyes of maternal peace. Oh, not the joyous shout of victory was e'er to me so grateful as the sight which the declining sun this day has revealed.
What sight?
My boyhood's fair and happy home. The past again was mine, and memory did seem reality. I thought of her, whose childish beauty so enthralled my heart.
Of her? Of whom?
Alas, I must forget. But thou shalt hear my story. We were playmates in the confiding hours of early youth. I was the mimic champion of her wrongs, and with my shield and lance I rescued her from many a fabled giant. Ah, those days! At length a feud broke out between our fathers, and we were parted. But I kept the faith which in my boyish earnestness I swore. She was my paragon, my dream of joy. Years passed. I went forth to my country's wars, dreaming of fame, but as a galliard's wreath to grace me in her eyes. When I returned, she, false one, was betrothed unto another.
Velasco!
Hush! Betray me not, the king.
They retire up the stage, conversing. Re-enter Ferdinand, Julio, Gonzales de Lerma, and lords, and in another direction, Favio, Hernando, Carlos, ladies, and etc.
Julio, with all dispatch wilt thou prepare to be our envoy to the court of Rome.
Exit Julio.
Sir Knight, we've caught the Gordian knot of counsel to play the host to thee. Hast thou no boon to crave within our royal power to grant? Unless thou proudly wouldst refuse to cancel a portion of the countless debt we owe thee, give us the clue whereby our gratitude may lead unto the dear wish of thy heart.
Behold it here, my liege.
Pointing to Isidora.
Could thy decree make this fair hand mine own, I should be blessed beyond requital in a gift so rich.
A gallant boon. We'll be thine intercessor. Gonzales, speak. Thou wilt not thwart our wish?
The Lady Isidora is affianced already to her kinsman, Don Hernando.
Wouldst thou constrain her choice? And, Don Hernando, wouldst thou take to thee a reluctant bride? Knighthood forbid. Gonzales, listen to. We will not speak of favour showered upon thee, of injuries forgiven, but in justice say, dost thou leave thy daughter free to choose?
My liege, I do.
Bear weakness to it all. Now, Isidora, use thy privilege. Choose as thy heart may dictate.
She gives her hand to Velasco.
It is well.
My liege, thou hast endeared me to thee ever. Now that the occasion for disguise is past, I will repay thy courtesy.
Advances and uncloses his visor.
Velasco!
My son!
Gonzales, aside.
The heir of my detested foe. It is unnatural. It must not be.
Velasco, thou art welcome. This surprise has plucked away the only sharp regret that rankled in our breast. Let music hail the lost one found, the banished one returned. On to the banquet room. There we will pledge joy to this fair alliance. May the stars shed their auspicious influence upon it.
A flourish. Exit Ferdinand, followed by all except Hernando and Mendoza, who retire in an opposite direction. End of Act the First of Velasco by Epes Sargent.
This audiobook is brought to you by Full Audiobooks. Please like, subscribe, and click the bell icon if you love audiobooks.
Act 2 of Velasco by Epes Sargent. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Act 2. Scene 1. Before the royal palace. Enter Fabio and Carlos.
Cease flouting, boy, 'tis not for thee to laugh, and yet I know not why thou shouldst be stinted. 'Twas a most rare, unlooked-for counterplot. Ha-ha! Poor Don Hernando!
Santiago, were I so ousted from my lady's favour, though by the fiercest knight in Christendom, I'd brain him, 'sdeath. I'll teach him the passado. Look there, he comes, the flower of chivalry, Hernando, with a man that's not his father.
Be quiet, Carlos. Show some reverence.
Enter Gonzales and Hernando.
Give you good morrow, gentlemen. Gonzales, commend me to your daughter. Is she well?
I left her so, Favillo.
May I ask, my lord, without presumption, when her nuptials are likely to take place?
The king has ordered their celebration the next holy day.
So soon? Ah, happy bridegroom, beauteous bride.
My lord, I give you joy of the alliance. Walk you in the direction of the palace?
The opposite, Favillo.
Fare you well.
Carlos is about to say something to Hernando. Fabio draws him away and exits with him.
Hernando, thou hast set me an example of meek forbearance. I should strive to follow. Like thee, I'll make a virtue of compulsion.
It is the part of wisdom.
By Our Lady, you take it coolly, sir. Now, for myself, had I been so discarded in behalf of a more favoured suitor, my resentment had burst in flames around him. My revenge.
Revenge? Ha! Ha! Revenge.
It rouses thee?
Oh, no. You see, I laugh at it, my lord. There's no revenge can find a harbour here.
I do believe thee, kinsman. Thou art blessed in a forgiving and an equal temper. And when I see with what philosophy this loss is borne by thee, I am disarmed on half of my objections to the choice my daughter made. Farewell. Go, till the ground. Get thee a shepherd's crook, and prithee pardon the rustic who may rob thee of thy Phyllis.
Exit.
Scoff on, my lord, while yet thou hast the breath. Short-sighted fool! He thinks, because I rave not, clenching my hands or smiting my hot brow, that the barb does not rankle. True revenge is patient as the watchful alchemist, sagacious as the bloodhound on the scent, secret as death.
Enter Mendoza.
Mendoza? From the palace?
Aye, from the palace, where dispute runs high upon de Lerma's counsel to the king touching the Pope's new mandate.
Am I right? De Lerma spurned the mandate?
And Gonzales, 'tis said, is for submission to the Pope.
Mendoza, we can trust not to Gonzales for farther opposition to these nuptials. We're thrown upon ourselves.
What's to be done?
'Tis forming in my brain the embryo vengeance. Misshapen yet it lies, and indistinct, but fast matures, and now the mist scales off from its appalling lineaments, and there, revealed, it stands, an invocated fiend. Folly, come on, Mendoza, thou shalt know.
Exeunt. Scene 2. An apartment in the mansion of Gonzales. Enter Julio, dressed as for a journey, followed by a servant.
Let the train move on by the eastern road. I will overtake them before many leagues are placed between us.
Exit servant.
Why do I delay? What means this dark presentiment of ill?
Enter Gonzales.
Not yet upon the road? I thought thee gone. Why dost thou tarry? Art not all equipped? Thy steeds caparisoned? Attendants ready?
Aye, father, and the morning shines propitious. But there's a boding raven at my heart. What says Hernando?
Out upon him, Julio. He is submissive as a priest-led lamb.
'Tis that submissiveness which makes me fear him.
Fear him? He is an inoffensive craven.
There's mischief in his looks.
Be sure, then, Julio, he will not venture farther than his looks.
I know not that. Disguised beneath a smile, it may be bold enough to play the assassin.
Nay, his own shadow would affright it so. It would recoil and leave the work undone.
Well, have a care. And now, before we part, one word of Isidora. You dispute not the choice her own heart and the king have made. Velasco, sir, is brave.
Aye, he has proved it.
His father, too, though war-worn and in years, has been the pattern of a Christian knight.
There is no Christian reverence in his heart. This very moment, Julio, he disputes the sovereignty the German emperor claims over Castile, a claim the Pope admits. Delerma yet withstands the will of Rome, derides its menace, and defies its thunder.
Impiety! And yet we must forego all controverted points with him, my father, since this alliance, be it for good or ill, between our houses has been ratified. For our own honour's sake and Isidora's, no provocation must revive the feud.
Whom wouldst thou caution, sir?
Nay, not be angered. I spake with all humility, my lord.
Well, Julio, do not fear, but I have reached years of discretion. Duty calls me forth. Farewell, my blessing speed thee on thy journey.
Exit.
Stay, father. Gone. Should we ne'er meet again? I fear his sudden and remorseless temper. And Isidora, when I parted from her, why did that sickening premonition start into my brain, and weigh on me, as if some inner, finer sense had felt the pang of the sharp agony which was to come? She seemed too happy, a delighted thing just on the margin of life's sunny stream. Ah, she comes.
Enter Isidora.
You see, I'm yet a loiterer.
'Tis well thou art, for I would ask thee, Julio, why when we parted thou didst seem so sad? Thy last farewell was uttered in such tones as breaking heartstrings might have given forth. 'Twas not the common grief of parting, Julio, for hitherto, when at the trumpet's call thou hast gone forth to battle, in thine eyes a sunny hope has danced, but now a tear breaks from its rayless gloom. What means it, brother?
Alas, I never yet have parted from thee with the sad thought that ere we meet again, thou wouldst be all another's. Never more the gay, free-hearted, fond and careless girl, whose laugh in bower and hall was sweetest music. Is not the thought well worth a casual tear?
Why should I be less happy or less fond? The influences of all outward things, the sky, the sunshine, and the vernal earth, beauty and song, will they not be the same? Ah, there are spirits in this fretful world which grow not old and change not with the seasons.
Oh, let not that assure thee. Time, my sister, is not content with marring outward charms. His deepening furrows reach the spirit's core. They spoil the soul of many an airy grace. Hope's gilded temples sink beneath his touch. Joy's buds of promise wither at his frown.
Now out upon this sullen humour, brother. Have done, or I, in sooth, shall wish thee gone. Ah, no, not gone, but I would have thee glad, even though from me thou goest far away.
Julio, regarding her steadfastly.
I see it now. Now in that earnest smile. Now in the pallor of that tranquil brow. The doom. The curse. Heaven shield thee, Isidora. Farewell. Farewell.
Rushes out.
Oh, do not leave me thus, Julio. 'Tis very strange. He made me tremble, and as his eyes glared on me, they appeared lit with the conscious fire of prophecy.
Enter Velasco.
Didst see my brother? Is he gone, Velasco?
Impetuous in his haste, he has departed. He sprang into his saddle, waved his hand in token of farewell, then at full speed followed his train along the winding road. You parted kindly?
He was strangely moved, wherefore I know not.
He has left thee sad.
And full of wonder. What could be the cause of such a sudden frenzy? He would stay. Poor Julio, he would stay to see our nuptials. That must have been his motive.
Think'st thou so? Our nuptials, Isidora! O speed on, ye lagging hours, that would defer their date!
Dost thou not recollect when first we knew the well-kept secret of each other's heart, I shuddered at the frowning obstacles which intervened between our severed fates? What doubts and fears and anxious fantasies clouded our sky, Velasco! Now a breath has cleared hope's blue horizon, and we see nor rock nor quicksand which can threaten wreck. Ah, will the prize so lightly won be prized?
Above all earthly treasures, for to me thou art the fulfilment of the brightest dreams of young romance, the goal on which my hopes fall down and rest. But we must part a while. I go to seek my father.
Dost remember a favourite haunt with us in former days, a spot the peasants call King Roderick's Glen? I shall be there by twilight.
Not alone. There from all sides shall start bright recollections, and hope shall catch new lustre from the past.
The present, oh, the present! 'Tis so bright, memory can lend no radiance from the past, hope can reflect no glory from the future.
Exeunt. Scene 3. A street in Burgos. Enter Gonzales and Hernando.
Nay, do not fret me with ambiguous hints. We spake of old de Lerma, and you said it was the dotar's privilege to slander. To slander whom? The king? Yourself? Myself? You signify no negative to that. What is't, Hernando? Speak with more direction.
My lord, you must forgive me. Press me not to more disclosures, for my peace and thine.
Well, well, 'twere better that it should not be. De Lerma and myself must soon be fathers to the same children.
That shall soon curb my speech. Let base detractions slur thy honoured name. Can I regard thee as less brave or loyal, though others prate of cowardice and treason?
Those words were never coupled with my name.
It happened thus. Dispute was running high upon the German emperor's new pretensions. Some did admit them, but de Lerma cried, if Henry claimed dominion o'er Castile, let him prove good his title by the sword, and cursed be the cravens and the traitors who would submit to such a vassalage. There are good men and true, was my reply, who favour his pretensions. No, not one. What sayest thou to Gonzales?
Ah, what then? He did not dare.
Ay, kinsman, he did dare to stigmatize thee as a craven traitor.
Hernando, if thou play'st me false, thy life shall be an immolation to my fury.
Seizes him and looks intently in his face.
I can bring proofs, my lord. Nay, is this courteous? Well, gives my face the lie to my assertion?
How couldst thou dare, even in repetition, to breathe those words of me?
My lord, forbear. 'Twas zeal for thine own honour made me bold.
Zeal for mine honour? Venom of thy soul.
Hold, if thou dost not shrink from actual proof, here comes de Lerma. Charge it home on him. If he deny it, spurn me as thou wilt.
Leave me.
Hernando, aside.
The spark has caught. It kindles fast. The conflagration blood alone can quench.
Exit.
Should it prove true. He comes. I must keep down these throes of passion.
De Lerma enters and is crossing.
Sir, a word with you.
I am a listener, an impatient one. 'Twere best that this encounter should be brief.
This haughtiness. My lord, the king, 'tis said, refuses to admit the emperor's claim.
Thank heavens the king's no recreant, no coward, but a Castilian, heart and hand, my lord. Would I might say the same of all his subjects.
Throw'st thou the taunt on me?
Wherefore this rage, if thou art innocent?
Delerma, dotard!
Half unsheaths his sword, but instantly dashes it into the scabbard.
No, no, thou'rt old and feeble, and our children. Oh, do not temper with my desperation.
In a sudden burst of passion.
Retract what thou hast said.
Not while the proofs appear even now in all thy looks and actions.
'Tis false. Thou urgest me to frenzy. Thus.
Strikes him.
It will find vent.
A blow? Dishonoured? Struck?
Draws.
Defend thyself ere I commit a murder.
With thee I'll not contend. Thy arm is nerveless. The odds are too unequal.
Then I rush upon thee as thou art.
As Delerma rushes upon him, Gonzales wrests away his sword, and throws it upon the ground.
I spare thy life.
Oh, spare me not, if mercy thou would show. Thou givest me back only what thou hast made a misery, a burden, a disgrace. It is a gift for which I cannot thank thee.
Keep it, my lord, and let this lesson teach what thy grey hairs have failed to bring thee. Prudence.
Exit. Delerma, taking up his sword.
Thou treacherous steel, art thou the same, alas, of yore so crimsoned in the Moorish wars? Methinks there should have been a soul in thee, the soul of victories and great achievements, to form a living instrument of vengeance, and, in the weakness of thy master's arm, to leap spontaneous to his honour's rescue. Go. 'Tis a mockery to wear thee now.
Throws down his sword.
Struck like a menial, buffeted, degraded, and baffled in my impotent attack. O fate, O time, why, when you took away from this right arm its cunning and its strength, its power to shield from wrong or to redress, did ye not pluck from out this swelling heart its torturing sense of insult and of shame? I am sunk lower than the lowest wretch. Oh, that the earth might hide me, that I might sink fathoms deep beneath its peaceful breast.
Retires up the stage and leans against a pillar. Enter Velasco.
The peerless Isidora, how my thoughts, swept by the grateful memory of her love, still bend to her like flowers before the breeze. They paint her image on vacuity. They make the air melodious with her voice. And she, the idol of my boyhood's dreams, is now mine own betrothed. Benignant heavens! The gulf is past which threatened to divide us, and the broad future, unobscured, expands.
Delerma, advancing.
Oh, be thy vauntings hushed?
My father, here, there is distraction in thy haggard looks. Thou art not well. Let me support thee hence.
It is no corporal ill. Art thou my son?
My father.
In thy feeble childhood, who sustained thee, reared thee, and protected thee?
It was thyself.
And in thy forward youth, who plumed thy soul for glory's arduous flight? Instructed thee, till in thy martial fame thou didst eclipse thy master.
Thou alone, and in thy waning age this arm shall be thy shield and thy support.
Thou art my son, Velasco. From a haughty ancestry we claim descent, whose glory it has been that never one of their illustrious line was tainted with dishonour. Yesterday that boast was true. It is no longer true.
No longer true? Who of our race, my lord, has proved unworthy of the name he bears?
I am that wretch.
Thou? Father!
I thought thou wouldst shrink from me as a thing accursed. 'Tis right, I taught thee, thou but mindest my dictates. But do not curse me, for there was a time when I had felled him lifeless at my feet. The will was strong, although the nerveless arm dropped palsied to my side.
My father, speak, explain this mystery.
I have been struck, degraded by a vile and brutal blow. Oh, thou art silent. Thou wilt not despise me?
Who was the rash aggressor? He shall die. Nay, 'twas some serf. There's not the gentleman in all Castile would lay an unkind hand upon thy feebleness. Then do not think thyself disgraced, my honourable father, more than if smitten by a lion's claw, a horse's hoof, the falling of a rafter. Know'st thou the offender's name?
Alas, no, serf. No man of low degree has done this deed. The aggressor is our equal.
Say'st thou so? Then by my sacred honour he shall die.
Thou wilt hold true to that?
Have I not said? Were it the king himself who dared profane a single hair upon my reverend brow, I would assail him on his guarded throne, and with his lifeblood stain the marble floor.
Thou noble scion of a blighted stock, I am yet strong in thee. Thou shalt avenge this ignominious wrong.
Who did it? Speak.
Gonzales did it.
No, no, no. The air in fiendish mockery syllabled that name. It was a dreadful fantasy. My lord.
Pedro Gonzales.
Isidora's father.
Oh, thou hast other ties. I did forget. Go. Thou art released.
There must be expiation. Oh, I am very wretched. But fear not. There shall be satisfaction or atonement.
Thou sayest it. To thy trust I yield mine honour.
Exit.
While the proud bird soared to the noonday sun, the shaft was sped that dashed him to the earth. 'Twas winged by fate. 'Tis here. I cannot shrink from the appalling sense that it is real. This throbbing brain, this sick and riven heart, these shudders that convulse my very soul, confirm the dreadful truth. But oh, to think of all the wretchedness 'twill bring on her, her whose glad tones and joy-bestowing beauty seemed doubly glad and beautiful today, whose little plans of happiness, great heavens, it will affright her reason, drive her mad. It must not be. And yet my father wronged, insulted by a blow. The proud old man, who fourscore years has kept his fame unblurred, now to be so disgraced and no redress. My honour calls. It drowns all other cries. Love's shrieking woe, and mercy's pleading voice. Thus, I cast them off, poor suppliants. And now, Gonzales, for revenge and thee.
Exit. End of Act the Second of Velasco by Epes Sargent.
This audiobook is brought to you by Full Audiobooks. Please like, subscribe, and click the bell icon if you love audiobooks.
Act 3 of Velasco by Epes Sargent. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Act 3, Scene 1. An apartment in the mansion of Gonzales. Folding door opening upon an esplanade. A sliding panel concealed by a picture of an armed knight. Enter Gonzales.
Why should I, with a vain regret, deplore this deed to which my just resentment forced me? Did not the provocation justify it? An injury my nature can forgive. An insult wakes the instinct of revenge. Yes, I was right. He merited the blow. Yet for her sake, for Isidora's sake, would that I might avert the threatening issue. I'll go to old Delerma, on my knees solicit his forgiveness. But the world, what would be their construction of the abasement? That it was fear of his redoubted son which drove me to it? Fear of Don Velasco? 'Twere madness to retract. Velasco comes.
Enter Velasco.
I see thou knowest my errand.
Thou art quick in thy surmises. What wouldst thou with me?
Oh, was it, sir, an honourable deed, one worthy of a brave and high-born knight, to strike an old man in his helplessness, an old Castilian warrior, whose grey hairs o'ershadow scars enough to chronicle his country's battles for these 60 years?
Bear thy rebukes. I am thy elder, sir, not to be tutored in the ways of honour by such as thou. Thy father put on me a grievous insult, one which even dotage had no immunity to put on manhood. I answered the foul slander with a blow. I am prepared to abide the penalty.
Obdurate! Must the last resort be ours?
If thou wouldst aught with me, I wait thy pleasure.
Then here, my lord, here's the arbitrament,
pointing to his sword,
which now remains for us.
E'en as thou wilt, follow me. Though I spare thy father's life, think not there waits for thee the same forbearance. Stay, we subject ourselves to scrutiny, should we move this way. Look you, Don Velasco.
springs the panel, which opens a passage.
A secret passage, known to me alone. It carries us to a secluded spot beyond the castle's walls. I would not share this secret with my dearest friend on earth. Thou must not live to whisper it. Come on.
Exit through the panel.
It is decreed.
Isidora's voice is heard in singing.
Her voice, her happy voice, ill-fated Isidora. Soon those tones must be for ever changed. Despair's wild shriek must rend that fine, harmonious instrument, made for the utterance of joy and love.
Gonzales, without.
A laggard, sir?
Farewell, my love, for ever. Thus o'er the brink of our despair I rush.
Exit. The panel closes. Enter Isidora.
Why is it all I meet appear so sad? My brother, ere this morning he departed, gazed steadfastly a while into my face, then started from me as he had been blasted. Hernando, too, our kinsman, when we meet, bends such a strange and warning glance upon me. My path he crosses like an evil omen. Even old Bianca, not to be outdone in her contagious sadness, prates of dreams which revelled her empty brain last night. And when the golden zone Velasco gave me snapped in the middle, as it clasped my waist, she wrung her hands and cried, "Woe is me! Alas! Ah, well a day!" and made such wild exclaims, as it had been her heart, not the girdle, whose breaking made her weep. 'Tis very strange. I wish the sun were set, for I might see Velasco then, and we would laugh away these dark misgivings.
Touches the strings of a lute.
Ah, what sounds are those?
Re-enter Gonzales, wounded, supported by 2 servants.
Forfended heaven! My father wounded, bleeding! For help! Will ye not fly for help?
Supporting him.
Nay, do not move me. I can go no farther. Stay all. It will avail not. I must die.
Oh, say not so! Thou art hurt not unto death. Thou wilt survive. Such care I'll take of thee.
No, Isidora. There's a monitor here which too surely tells me I must die. But shall there be no vengeance, no redress? Nay, hear me, while I have the power to speak. Swear, Isidora, swear to me that thou wilt to the death pursue the man who slew me.
Alas! Who did this deed?
I tell thee, swear, if thou wouldst part with me in peace. Delay a moment, and thou art too late. Thou'lt not refuse my dying blessing.
Take mine oath. Oh, who relentless did this cruelty?
Gonzales, giving her a dagger.
His name, torrents pouring on my heart, and now, like fire, it rushes to my brain. Where art thou, Isidora? All is dark.
Dies.
He moves not, breathes not. Is this death? No, it cannot, it should not be. Not death, not death. Oh, Father, speak. It is thy daughter calls. She who this morning hung upon thy neck, whom thou didst circle in thy living arms. Oh, do not leave me thus, cold, motionless, silent, for evermore. And I stand here, conscious of this, yet wondrously alive, nerving my sinews to the appointed task. The name, know ye the name he would have uttered? Ye do not. It is well. Bear in your burthen.
Exult servants with Gonzales.
Now to fulfill mine oath, and were there none to bind me to pursue the murderer, should not my filial duty be enough to urge me on? An oath of vengeance. Oh, what I have to do with vengeance, I who do so shudder at the sight of blood. Unworthy hesitation. Am I not a warrior's promised bride? Where should I fly, if not to him in this calamity? Alas! He now awaits me light of heart beside the garden's verge, the spot I chose. Affliction casts no shadow on his dreams.
Enter Hernando, unperceived.
He looks for a glad meeting. Oh, Velasco, what desolation would be round my path in this bereavement were it not for thee!
Exit.
It is accomplished, all as I foresaw. Fly, wretched maid, to thy victorious lover. Seek consolation in his blood-stained arms, that thou mayst shrink with more abhorrence from him, when the dread truth, volcano-like, bursts on thee. There's but one obstacle remains between my hopes and their attainment. Julio lives, and but for him these castellated walls, this broad domain with its well-dowried mistress, might be mine own. Success emboldens thee, Hernando. Ay, ambition shall complete what vengeance has so prosperously begun.
Exit. Scene 2. A hall in the mansion of Delerma, with Gothic windows. Enter Delerma.
Velasco comes not. He is brave and strong, and yet there is a sinking in my heart at this delay. Should he have fallen in the fight, or desperate rushed on his opponent's sword, 'tis time he were returned.
Throws open a window.
The sun's red orb is poised in yellow mist above the west. A storm is in those vapours. Hark! A step! He comes, victorious. He has effaced from the escutcheon of our noble house the only stain that ever marred its whiteness.
Enter Velasco, gazing distractedly on his drawn sword.
Welcome. Thou hast discharged a sacred duty.
Look there. It is his blood, Gonzales's blood. He was the father of my Isidora, the parent fount whence flowed the ruby stream that circles in her fine translucent veins. 'Tis the same blood that warms her innocent heart, that paints the rose-leaf on her dainty cheek, that mantles in her blush, when maiden pride checks the betrayal of her guileless love. Her love! O heavens, what claim have I to that? I who have slain her father! I have done a double murder. May a double curse fall on my head, for when the infernal steel was levelled at his breast, full well I knew that it would reach through him to Isidora.
With vehement emotion.
'Twas thou who forced me to this deed. Oh, is this not satiety of vengeance? Now, to reward thy son, be merciful.
Gives Delerma his sword.
And turn the point, on which those sanguine drops plead, like the tears of orphans for my suit. Turn it against this desolate heart. I kneel to thee. I ask it of thy mercy.
Up, up, Velasco! Be the hero still. Curb these unruly passions. Thou hast made a worthy offering on the shrine of honour. Much comfort yet remains for thee, my son.
Honour? What frigid bigotry is this? Comfort? No more, oh, never more, shall I know the soft comfort of a mind at ease.
Wilt thou afflict me with thy grief's excess?
Her father's death, that sure had been enough to prostrate her young joys, and bow her soul in agony of sorrow. Then, O heavens, with what redoubled horror will she learn that I was the fell agent, I who swore to cherish and to love her all her days. Bend not thy thoughts on that, or they will end in maniac frenzy. Even now my brain in spiral flame seems eddying unto madness. Oh, give me air, 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 or I shall die.
Rushes out.
These vehement griefs of their own fierceness soon burn out, or are extinguished in the tears which follow their explosion. Passion's reign is brief as turbulent. In reason's light, he will regard the act as brave men should. It pleases me, the colour of this blade. It shall be treasured, that when men shall say Delerma was dishonoured, the reply may point to the red proofs of his revenge.
Exit. Scene 3. A glen near the castle of Gonzales. A storm is raging with thunder and lightning. Enter Velasco from the rocks in the background.
I lay my brow against the marble rock. I hold it throbbing to the dewy grass. There is no coolness in the summer rain. The elements have lost their attributes. The oaks are shivered round me in the blaze of the near lightning as it bursts the folds of its black cerements, but no gracious bolt blasts me or scathes. A wilder storm is here. The fiery quiver of the clouds will be exhausted soon. The hurricane will sink. And, through the vista of the western clouds, the slant rays of the setting sun will stream, and birds on every glistening bough will hail the refluent brightness and the freshened air. But when will pass away from this sad heart the cloud of grief, the tempest of remorse? When will the winged hopes that glanced and sang in joy's melodious atmosphere return to welcome back the gladness of the soul? This spot, what fatal instinct led me here? It is our trysting place. And, what form breaks through the shadowy gloom? 'Tis Isidora. She sees me, she advances. Knows she yet the fearful truth? Oh, were this trial spared me.
Enter Isidora.
Velasco, is it thou? Oh, thank heaven we meet. Alas, my lord, such fearful news I bring. thou wouldst not shun me.
Velasco, embracing her.
Shun thee, Isidora.
Oh, such a strange calamity has fallen upon our house, Velasco. But I see thou art informed already. We must straight pursue the guilty wretch.
Velasco, starting.
Avoid me, fly. Let me not taint thee with my traitorous touch.
Hear I, or do my senses play me false? What dost thou say? Still silent? Wilt not speak? I did not look for this. Thy sympathy at least would do me in this hour of woe.
Do I not share the burthen of thy sorrow? Oh, let this writhing heart, this burning brain attest my grief, my anguish, my despair.
Oh, pardon my mistrust. Thou dost partake with me this great affliction. Who, alas, could have contrived so impious an act? Help me to curse him.
No, 'tis not for thee to curse him, Isidora. Not for thee.
'Tis not for me to curse him. Thou art right. 'Tis for no Christian soul to breathe a curse. But I have sworn an oath of vengeance. Where is thy sword, Velasco? Thou shalt be my champion, the avenger of my father.
I, thine avenger? I thy champion?
And whom but thou? My brother gone, alas? Where should I fly, forsaken, save to thee? Oh, thou art powerful to redress my wrongs, invincible in arms. Thy honour, too. I need not tell thee that thy honour cries with loud appeal on thee to vindicate me made an orphan and my father slain.
And thou dost ask of me?
To slay the slayer, to execute the law of heaven and earth, of deity and mortal, blood for blood.
Thou knowest not what thou askest.
I have checked the tributary anguish of my heart, and wrought the natural weakness of my sex to the stern task my dying sire imposed. Velasco, I had thought to find in thee a prompt avenger, and why art thou thus?
I cannot. Wilt thou? Oh, have pity, heaven.
We are betrothed, but ere a bridegroom's hand is clasped in mine, the atonement must be made. Were he among the mightiest of the land, who must account for this unholy deed, before thy arm of terror he would quail. Go then, pursue the assassin to the death.
Assassin! If the death of him, my love, who slew thy father, would content thy soul, the boon it were not difficult to grant.
Knowest thou the man, Velasco?
Yes.
Oh, haste to find him then.
He is already found.
Where is the man? Who is he?
He is here. I am the man. Well mayst thou look aghast.
A peal of thunder. Isidora falls to the ground.
The thunder echoes it. The sable air tolls with the sound, and sheds lamenting drops. The tocsin of the elements proclaims it, and nature shudders. It hath stunned thy soul, O flower too early blighted. Isidora, look up, arise. Return to thy sad home. Nay, do not gaze so steadfastly upon that fearful conjuration of thy brain. Wake, Isidora.
Wake? Then 'tis a dream. O blessed waking! Such a dream of horror duped my poor senses. Were it palpable, it could not more have checked my frozen blood, nor thrilled mine eyes within their lucent orbs. Methought I gazed upon my slaughtered sire, bound by an oath of dire solemnity to take swift vengeance on his murderer. Distraught with grief, I hastened to Velasco. Whom should I make but him, my champion? The lightning's flash, the muffled thunder's peal, the arrowy rain. I heeded not the storm, but forward urged my steps until at length I met my lover near our favourite haunt. Averted were his eyes, but when he turned to fold me in his arms, pale horror glared from every tortured feature. Then, oh then!
Slowly recovering her consciousness.
Thou art Velasco! This is not my home, my happy chamber where the morning sun sheds such a tender radiance. No, the air is black with vapours, and the moaning gale bends the high trees and sweeps the murky clouds. What do I hear at such an hour as this? It was no dream, it is reality.
Oh, let me palliate the dreadful act. Thou dost not know, but thou art faint, my love.
Stand back, Sir Knight! Thy arm no more shall clasp me. Think of my oath, it yet must be fulfilled. Before the king himself I will arraign thee to answer for this deed. I am devoted to the fulfilment of a sacred duty, but did not think to find in thee the man.
Oh, may I not support thee to thy home? Thou art weak, distracted mourner.
No, away! A power, not mine, sustains my weary limbs.
Enter Hernando, who receives her insensible in his arms.
Here, in her kinsman's arms, is her protection. Wouldst thou, yet sprinkled with her parents' blood, proffer thy aid?
Bears her out. Velasco, looking after them.
Lost! Lost! Forever lost!
Throws himself on the ground. End of Act 3 of Velasco by Epes Sargent.
This audiobook is brought to you by Full Audiobooks. Please like, subscribe, and click the bell icon if you love audiobooks.
Act 4 of Velasco by Epes Sargent. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Act 4, Scene 1, Royal Audience Room, a chair of state. Enter Ferdinand and Fabio.
Gonzales slain, and no one knows by whom? No clue discovered? It is strange indeed.
But still more wonderful that Don Velasco should not be eager to avenge his death, at least to ferret out the murderer.
A mystery involves the deed, which time must speedily unfold.
Shouts are heard.
What shouts are those? What crowd is that beneath the porch?
Enter Carlos.
My liege, the daughter of Gonzales and her kinsman thy presence seek. The people gather round, and, in their pity, shout aloud for justice.
Admit her.
Exit Carlos. The king ascends his throne.
Strange, Velasco should be absent.
Enter Isidora, followed by Hernando, knights, ladies, and etc., who form round his throne. Isidora kneels to the king.
Rise up, fair mourner. We will hear thy griefs.
I am the orphan daughter of Gonzales. He was great king, thy brave and loyal subject, and he has done service in his country's wars. By violence his death has been accomplished. O grant, my liege, redress against the man who has my father slain.
Who is the man?
Ah, me, the last who should have done the deed. His name... I am a feeble advocate against so potent and renowned a foe. But let the arm of justice, mighty king, reach him upon his pinnacle of fame.
Ah, name thy foe.
His name, I cannot speak it.
Velasco.
Aye, 'tis spoken.
Heavens! Velasco? Thou hast amazed us, lady, by thy charge. The proofs that could have urged on thee conviction cannot be such as will admit our doubt.
My liege, he deigns not to dispute the charge.
What madness drove him to the ruthless deed?
My liege, we must conjecture that he hoped, by virtue of his marriage with this lady, to gain possession of the seigneuries Gonzales held.
Oh, judge not thou of motives, if none better thou canst attribute, sir, to such as he, a knight, a man of honour, a Velasco.
Enter Velasco, unperceived. He stands composedly, with folded arms, while Hernando is speaking.
My liege, I did but venture a surmise. His motives to the crime I may misdeem, but of his agency what doubt remains? Much cause have we to fear it was no duel by knightly laws in which Gonzalez fell, but an assassination in which honour...
He suddenly sees Velasco and is silent.
Go on, why dost thou hesitate, Hernando? Behold, the accused. Confront him with thy charge.
My liege?
Has my rival struck thee speechless? Why, what type of infamy thou standest? Traducer, thou art sunk beneath my scorn. But where is he who will maintain thy charge? I slew Gonzalez as becomes a knight, in honourable combat, sword to sword.
Throwing down his gauntlet.
Behold my gage. Who will gainsay the truth?
What proof canst bring, Hernando, of thy charge?
Presumptions strong, my liege.
Presumption, sir? And wouldst thou slander a Castilian noble upon such grounds? Velasco, we know not what provocation drove thee to this deed, but that thine honour suffered in the encounter. Thy own attesting word could not persuade us.
Enter de Lerma.
My liege, this is my quarrel, and be sure justice holds me alone responsible. Velasco was the weapon in my hand, wielded for the redemption of my honour. Know that I was insulted by Gonzalez, struck like a very beggar in the streets. I drew my sword upon him, but alas, my arm had lost its vigour, and with scorn he dashed aside my unavailing blade, then left me crushed beneath a load of shame. Could I exist, my liege, while lived the man who had disgraced me? No. I had a son. He has but done his duty.
And no more. Hence be it said, Velasco yielded up love, life, aye, more than life, rather than honour. For thee, unhappy lady, who hast been deprived at once of bridegroom and of father, we cannot punish where we find no guilt, no treacherous action nor intent is proved. We can but say, bring forth thy champion. Velasco promptly will obey his summons. The feud admits not of our interference. We have decided. Follow me, Hernando.
Exeunt all but Isidora and Velasco. Carlos, as he goes out, returns the latter his gauntlet.
Thou hast heard all which can extenuate the perpetration of the deed we mourn. Oh, wilt thou not believe that when mine arm was raised to strike, my heart was torn with anguish, that I did love thee better at that moment while severing the tie between our fates, than when exulting hope was all mine own?
Call it not love, Velasco. Hast thou loved, thou sooner wouldst have died a death of shame than brought this weight of misery upon me.
Oh, sound the dreary depth of my despair, then if thou canst, measure my boundless love.
Call'st thou that love which pride can subjugate, which can be quelled by what the world call honour, or made to yield even by filial duty? No, to all these true love is paramount.
Oh, my fair name had been for ever lost if I had tamely borne the unmeasured insult.
No, one appealing word had wrought compunction in the offender's heart, but pride withheld thee. A human victim was the sole oblation which could appease thy Moloch, and revenge was dearer to thee than the hopes of love. more sacred than thy plighted faith to her who to thy trust gave all her happiness. Oh, what a reckless steward hast thou been!
Could I behold a venerated father, crushed by a sense of unrequited wrong, wasted by stricken pride and wounded honour, and with the power to save, deny redress?
Thou dost but point the sting of mine own conscience. If to redress a blow thy sacrifice was the aggressor's life, what should be mine, who have a father's slaughter to avenge?
Oh, worse than death thou dost inflict on me, now by thy hate.
My hate?
Thou dost not love me.
Love thee? Oh, no. I should not, would not love thee. I will fly from thee.
Stay, before we part, which parting is forever. May we not forget the sad divulsion of our fates, and sail together down the sunny past.
How every tone brings back the happy days. I fear 'tis sin to listen, but there is such sweet enchantment in it.
'Tis in vain. I cannot rid me of the recollection. Thou art a passive victim. I, alas, I was the scourge, the awful instrument.
Canst thou recall not that delicious twilight, when venturous children, careless of time's lapse, we traversed in a skiff the wood-girt lake, while from the rosy west the drooping clouds, ensanguined banners of the captive day, threw o'er the purple wave their glowing shadows?
I can but sigh for what we might have been.
And memory need not travel far to bring that hour when we two parted light of heart in the near prospect of a joyous bridal. Oh, little did we dream that ere we met strange horror would disjoin us.
Oh, forget, or ere we part, vouchsafe one last embrace.
Forbear! This is impiety, Velasco. 'Tis not for thee to clasp me. Think! My father, dying, he drew from me a sacred oath, and as a legacy bequeathed this dagger.
My heart leaps to it. Strike, and do not quail. Now, ere thy purpose flag, strike, I will bless thee.
She raises it, as if to strike him. He extends his arms, inviting the blow, whereupon she drops the dagger and rushes out.
Were I the only victim, I could brave, methinks, fate's worst infliction. But my heart breaks when I see her suffer. I look round for refuge, but can find one only haven, the quiet grave, as if to point the way.
Taking up the dagger.
The steel she left gleams on me. If despair could ever justify self-sacrifice, now's the occasion, when my forfeit life is claimed by her to whom it was devoted. A sinew's quick contraction, and 'tis done. No, no, Velasco, 'tis a weary march, and many droop and falter by the way, and many treading in forbidden paths, at their great captain's sacred laws rebel. But the good soldier still maintains his post, obeys and presses forward to the last, while on the streaming flag that marshals him and lifts the emblem of his faith, he reads, "By this sign shalt thou conquer."
Exit. Re-enter Carlos.
Poor Velasco. Ah, who approach? Hernando and Mendoza. Some knavery's afoot. I'll stand aside.
Re-enter Hernando with Mendoza. Carlos seats himself unperceived upon the chair of state.
Art well assured of the fidelity of him thou hast employed in this affair?
Don Julio stands no longer in thy way. Our agents will bring such proof as will convince thee. How wilt thou mold the sister to thy purpose?
She will be mine, Mendoza, and at once, if not by fair compliance, by compulsion. I have possessed the castle with my creatures, ridding its precincts of the old adherents. She returns home to my home. Dost thou hear? She's in my power. Is't not a masterpiece?
A rare one.
Carlos, in drawing his sword, rattles it.
Ha! A listener.
It is Carlos.
Confusion. He has heard us. Boy, come hither.
Carlos hums a tune and bends his sword blade against the floor. Mendoza, going towards him.
So? I will drag him to you. Meddling page.
Carlos, starting forward.
Stand off, sir. Off. My rapier is not squeamish. It may take up with offals. So beware. Go, frighten women. Think not that I fear you.
Nay, Carlos. Tempt him not, Mendoza. Hold. Didst hear the import of the brief discourse which passed between this gentleman and me?
Oh, traitors! Every villainous word ye uttered I overheard.
Thou jesting with us, Carlos?
Flatter yourself with the belief. Perchance ye soon will find I do not jest with traitors.
To Mendoza, who is trying to circumvent him.
A fair field and no favour, if you please. None of your backhand villainy. Go to.
Stay, boy. Thou not betray us?
I betray? What have you trusted to me?
Wilt report aught thou hast heard?
Nay, Carlos knows his friends. There is an Arab courser in my stables, fleet as the wind, clean-limbed and tractable, and of a size just suited to thy height. I would not part with him for money, Carlos. But if thou'lt be our friend, and keep our counsel, he shall be thine.
Mendoza, aside.
Well put. The bribe has won him.
Hast thou so brave a steed?
Aye, Carlos.
Black?
Black as a raven.
Fleet?
Oh, very fleet.
Then prithee, mind my caution. Mount at once, and swift as thou canst spur him, leave behind the gallows that awaits thee.
Dost thou mock me?
But should thy neck be broken in thy flight, the accident may save it from a halter, and cheat an honest hangman of his fee. Stand back, or thou shalt rue it.
Boy, beware. Thy life shall be the forfeit of thy treason. What wouldst thou do?
Expose you? Baffle you? Oh, fume not. I shall haste to Don Velasco, tell him what I have heard, and if he have not two knaves' heads dangling at his saddle-bow before the nightfall, I'm no conjurer.
Exit.
'Sdeath! There is danger in him. He will keep his threat. What's to be done?
We must be speedy in the achievement of our purposes. To horse. We'll reach the castle of Gonzalez ere the alarm is raised. There we are safe, and Isadora's mine. The massive gates shall keep out all intruders, even the king. And should Velasco venture to approach us, our crossbow men shall send an arrow through him. Come, fortune beckons us. To horse, to horse.
Exeunt. Scene 2. Same as Act 3, Scene 1. An apartment in the mansion of Gonzales. A sliding panel concealed by the picture of an armed knight. Folding doors closed. Enter Isadora.
My home seems changed. New faces stare upon me. Familiar ones are missed. Or do I dream? Was it not all the mere fantastic play of brain-sick fancy? No, I stood before the king and claimed redress against my lover. O hypocrite! Thy tongue besought a boon, thy inmost heart rejected. I have failed in my first trial. Would it were the last! May it not be the last? Have I not done all that could be exacted from me? No, my duty urges and my oath compels. Terrible duty! Heart distracting oath! Is this the hand to point the avenging steel, to point it against him? And do I waver? Do I so soon infract my sacred word? Ye powers of retribution, strengthen me, and thou impatient ghost, rebuke me not for this delay. I'll not forget thy mandate. I will do all my woman's weakness can.
Enter Hernando. Hernando speaking as he enters.
Ay, close the gates and man the outward towers. Let no one be admitted on thy life.
Let no one be admitted. Close the gates. What meanst thou by such orders?
I have cause, fair cousin, to mistrust Velasco's purpose. One of our house he has already slain. May he not meditate against another. A like attempt, 'tis well to be prepared for a surprise.
Out upon thy mistrust! It shall not be. Who waits?
Nay, be not hasty. Hear me, and deign to do my motives justice.
Oh, may I trust thee?
Let my actions prove it.
I know not. Well, what is thy word with me?
Thou'rt now, fair cousin, left in the wide world, an unprotected, solitary orphan, thy brother gone, perchance not to return, the man who was betrothed to thee become the man whom, of all others, thou art bound with a relentless hatred to pursue. Methinks the path of wisdom and of duty is plain before thee.
Well,
if in thy kinsman thou now wouldst take a husband and a protector, 'twould be compliance with thy father's will.
Is this a season for such words from thee? Leave me. Dismiss thy train. I need them not.
But I do, lady.
Sir, I would be private. Thou art not gone? Where be my servants? Ho, within there!
Thou dost call in vain, fair cousin. Not one of all thy menials tarries here. As the next male inheritor to thy brother, I have possessed this castle, and the walls are filled with my retainers. Thou art here, wholly within my power. Now, as a guest, fair cousin, be less scornful.
Even thou couldst not have been so dastardly a traitor, false knight.
False lady, I have told the truth.
Thou wouldst not dare to wrong me.
I would be loath to do that. I offer thee my hand. If thou dost scorn it, lady, then beware.
Thou hast forgotten that I have a brother.
That brother is no more. He has been slain. I can produce assurance of the fact.
Julio no more. And I'm lost indeed. Thou wouldst deceive me. I'll not credit it. Let me go forth, Hernando.
Thou shalt not. Thou canst not. Sentinels at every door, closed gates and lofty walls forbid departure. Listen. Thou didst discard me for another, thinking that I would tamely bear the slight, and meekly pardon my successful rival. Thou hast misjudged me. 'Tis my triumph now. Reflect. 'Twas thou who raised the fiend in me, and it is thou alone who can exorcise.
Why, thou art brave.
And dangerous, fair cousin. Consent. Consent to be my wedded wife, or I will drag thee by thy braided hair to yonder chamber.
Enter Velasco silently through the secret passage. Isidora appears to be searching for a dagger, when suddenly she perceives him.
Providence has sent thee.
I did not think that fate had in reserve for me another moment of such sweetness.
What sorcery is this?
Oh, draw thy sword, and if one drop of manhood warm thy blood, shed it in guarding now thy sordid life. Wilt not? Then thus I'll rob thee of thy sting.
seizes him and raises his sword.
A power invisible arrests my arm. Blood of thy race enough, alas, has been already shed by me. Live if thou canst.
Hernando, retreating.
Dupe, thou art lost, and she thou wouldst have saved again is mine. Mendoza, ho, my gods!
Exit.
This passage leads to a secluded spot beyond the walls. Oh, hasten to escape.
Lead on!
She gives him her hand, but instantly recoils.
Thou art spotted with my father's blood. I cannot go with thee.
It is no time for thoughts like these. Escape while yet we may. Hark, they approach. A moment and we're lost.
Oh, may a moment's amnesty exist between me and my father's mortal foe?
Oh, fatal hesitation. Isidora!
Forgive me, and lead on. I'll fly with thee.
It is too late. They see us through the embrasure. Should they assail us in you, labyrinth? The chances are against us, for my sword would not avail me in the narrow darkness. We will stand here and brave them to the death.
'Tis I have brought down ruin on us both.
'Twill be too sweet to die defending thee.
Enter Hernando, Mendoza, and soldiers.
Part, or ye both shall fall beneath our swords. Tear them asunder.
We'll not part, Velasco.
A soldier advances with a battle-axe. Velasco seizes it from him and drops his sword.
It were the pastime of a holiday to sweep battalions of you down like reeds. And here is one whom if ye dare to harm, even in the grazing of her sacred robe, I'll hew a passage, cravens through your hearts. Come, ye should know me. I am he who burst upon the conquering Moors as Santiago.
Steth, do you trail your spears? 'Tis but one man. Bear down. Secure them. Your reward is doubled.
As they level their spears, Carlos rushes in through the secret passage.
Boy, thou hast rushed to thine own chastisement. Thou too art lost.
Hold all.
A pause.
The king approaches.
They fall back in dismay. Enter Ferdinand through the passage with attendants and etc. bearing torches. The king points to Hernando and Mendoza, who are seized. Velasco supports Isidora. The soldiers of Hernando kneel and lay down their arms. End of Act 4 of Velasco by Epes Sargent.
This audiobook is brought to you by Full Audiobooks. Please like, subscribe, and click the bell icon if you love audiobooks.
Act 5 of Velasco by Epes Sargent. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Act 5, Scene 1, Royal Audience Room. Enter Carlos.
'Twill be a joyous bridal. Even the skies are flaunting in their robes of festival to grace the nuptials of the brave and fair. All Burgos is in motion, and the streets are spanned by arches and bestrewn with garlands. Balconies gleam with tapestry and flowers, and columns rise, flashing with shields and helms entwined with olive branches. Oh, 'twill be a braver wedding than the world e'er saw. What shows and banquets shall we have? The king.
Exit. Enter Ferdinand with Fabio and attendants. Ferdinand on his throne.
So many culprit. Justice must have sway.
Enter Hernando with guards.
Hernando, out of mercy to thyself, we have appointed for thy final sentence this day, a day when he, on whose decision thy fate hangs trembling between life and death, may be of all most leniently disposed. Let conscience say whom thou hast injured most, then wait from him thy doom.
Velasco?
Aye.
Oh, doom me to the galleys, banish me, but leave me not to certain death, great king.
He comes, the arbiter of fate to thee.
Enter Velasco.
Velasco, we would not mar with one cloud this day to joy devoted, but the fate of this unhappy man is in thy hands. Pronounce his sentence, it shall be fulfilled.
My liege, thou art ever just. Stand forth, Hernando. I will not speak to thee of wrongs which lie between ourselves, thy baseless calumny, the frail abortions of thy active hate, but it was thou who did relume the feud betwixt my noble father and Gonzales, urging a blow that death alone could heal. 'Twas thou who would have wronged my promised bride, and for all this thy punishment shall be to live. Thy chain, the chain that conscience forges, linked with remorse and hateful memories, a heavier chain than now is on thy limbs. I live, and be the infliction for thy crimes remembrance. Go, I pity and forgive thee.
Exit.
Release him.
But one moment, stay, my liege. There was another charge young Carlos brought. Tell us, Hernando, if in any way thou wert accessory to Julio's death.
I take the dead to witness.
Enter Julio, who starts at seeing Hernando in fetters.
Ah, here he comes, here to confound me with a miracle. I do confess. Away!
Don Julio here.
My liege, forgive me the astonishment which did arrest the homage of my knee.
Thou art welcome. We had credited the rumour that told us thou wert slain.
Alone, my liege, of all my train, I have escaped from slaughter, robbed of my parchments, thwarted in my mission. No course remained to me but to return. My sister's bridal this? I did not think to be so fortunate. It should have been.
Ay, Julio, but it was not. Thou shalt hear the causes why. But give thy promise first. Whate'er I may disclose, thou wilt not thrust a quarrel on Velasco.
Enter Favio.
Strange request. Methinks I should gain little in a quarrel with such a foe. The child of victory. I know my king would not entrap mine honour, and so to the effect I pledge my word.
Thou shalt hear all. Let prudence and compassion then counsel thee to bear and to forbear.
This mystery, my liege. A strange foreboding runs darkening through my brain. I am impatient.
No sooner wast thou gone upon thy mission, than by base hints and gradual intimations the prisoner here inflamed thy father's rage against de Lerma, whom, encountering, Gonzales struck.
They fought. De Lerma fell.
Scarce could he draw his sword before 'twas wrenched by his opponent from him. Then with scorn thy father left him vanquished and disgraced.
It was not well. My father is too choleric, and this untoward chance delayed the nuptials.
De Lerma felt the insult but too keenly, and called Velasco to remove the stigma from his attainted honor.
Huh? Velasco? He did not. No, it is too horrible.
Thy father fell beneath Velasco's sword.
My father dead. My valiant father. Slain. Oh, the retribution shall be sure.
Regard thy promise, Julio. Let revenge be stifled in the bud. It must be crushed.
And she, my sister, weds in festal bravery the homicide who robbed her of a father?
By my command she weds him. Hear me, Julio. Hadst thou but seen thy sister day by day, while life ebbed swiftly from her fading cheek, now sadly patient, and now stung to frenzy, invoking vengeance until reason fled, thou wouldst be merciful.
Oh, not to him.
He saved thy sister from a villain's grasp. Will that appease not thy insane revenge? Long did I sue in vain to Isidora for her permission to renew these nuptials. With earnest plea I urged that she was left an orphan, brotherless. But in reply she raised her eyes to heaven in silent trust. A holy priest I sent to sway her soul, and offer her absolution, but his craft did no avail. At length the whispering court dared to revive Hernando's baseless charge, that by foul means thy father had been slain. That dying he revealed unto thy sister what filled her with unconquerable hate against Velasco. To her ears it came, the slanderous rumour, and in one wild burst of renewed love, of sympathy and scorn, she proved it false, consenting to these nuptials.
Here, let them end.
How, Julio, wouldst thou dare dispute my ordinance? Attend thy sister, and lead her to the banquet room. Anon I, with Velasco and the bridal train, will meet you there, and thou shalt pledge with him in drowning cups oblivion to the past, then to the church to seal the nuptial bond. Remand the culprit. I've thy promise, Julio.
Exit.
My promise? Is not perjury a virtue in such a juncture?
Hernando, advancing.
Aye, it is a virtue. Hear me.
Julio motions back the guards, who are advancing.
They tell me I provoked the mischief. Let my accusers prove it. No, Velasco. To evade or palliate his monstrous guilt, has fixed on me this charge.
Could I believe it?
Learn more. Thy father, dying, with an oath, bound Isidora to pursue to the death the man to whom she gives her hand this day.
It must not be. Religion shudders at it, and filial piety recoils with horror. It must not be.
But how wilt thou prevent it? The appointed hour is near, the king commands, and Isidora, urged to madness, yields. If thou dost push a quarrel on Velasco, thy solemn pledge is broken, and the king forbids the contest, stripping thee, perchance, even of thy knighthood and thy right to challenge. And more, Velasco never will contend, whatever the provocation, with thyself.
Great heavens! What's to be done?
One way is left. What said the king? That in the banquet room thou shouldst await Velasco, there to pledge the happy bridegroom in forgiving cups.
Well?
Lest Velasco's beaker be not brimmed.
Offers a phial of poison.
Villain!
Reflect. It is the only way to save thy sister from a fearful crime, and to avenge thy father.
Julio, hesitating.
To avenge, say'st thou?
Conceal it quickly in thy vest. That eavesdropper, young Carlos, is approaching. Consider. Take it.
Enter Carlos. Julio convulsively grasps the phial and conceals it.
Are you here, Don Julio? Aha! What token passed between you?
Nothing.
Carlos, looking distrustfully at each.
Nothing? Does nothing glitter so?
Julio, with asperity.
What wouldst thou?
I meant not to offend, to play the spy.
What hast thou seen?
Oh, nothing.
Hernando, to his guards.
I am ready.
Carlos, to Hernando.
They tell me Don Velasco has reprieved thee. I'll trust thou'lt show thy gratitude.
I will.
Exit with guards.
I will? There's a mischief in that ruffian yet. Don Julio, I was bidden to attend you.
Julio, in a reverie.
I cannot do it. 'Twas infamous to tempt me.
How so?
Julio, still musing.
How so?
Suddenly rousing himself.
Carlos!
Nay, look not on me so terribly, my lord. They bade me come, but to attend thee hence.
Lead on, lead on.
Exeunt. Scene 2. An apartment in the royal palace. Enter Isidora, sumptuously attired.
I will believe that I am borne along to this day's purpose in the arms of fate. For though my better angel warns me back with earnest gesture and imploring eyes, yet I am weak, resistless as a child.
Shouts are heard.
Shout on, glad voices! Swell your acclamations! It is my bridal day, a day of joy! My heart is lifted on those waves of sound, and thrills with the first gladness it has known since... Away! Away, thou fiend remembrance! Is there no spell can lay thee? Thou art hideous, yet there's a fascination in thy horror that bids me gaze and gaze till I am frenzied. Ah me! On what a base is reared the joy a single flash of memory can shiver! What have I done? Brief is the time elapsed since, with the ashes of his great forefathers, all that is mortal of my sire was blended. And now death's sable livery is changed for bridal pomp, the wail of lamentation for shouts of mirth and nuptial harmonies. And he I wed is... reason cannot breathe it. Yet in that little space, that sand of time, what weary lives of anguish have been crowded! What maddening thoughts, what passions, and what terrors! Revenge and love and duty and despair! The fury of the elements, the shock of adverse fleets on a tempestuous sea! But, over all, riding the topmost wave, love's bark still floats triumphant.
Enter Velasco.
Solitary.
O truant bridegroom, thou hast lagged behind the heels of expectation.
I have counted the tedious hours that kept me from thy side.
And me sad thoughts have visited in thy absence.
Oh, banish them.
Isidora, regarding him steadfastly.
I know that thou art good, impregnable in honour, brave and noble. But dost thou not condemn me in thy heart for the blind weakness of that sense of duty, or for the strength of that o'ermastering passion which wrongs a father for a lover's sake?
Why, what a restless conjurer of ill thy fancy is! Thou knowest that all my hopes are staked upon the promise of this day.
Thou art pale, methinks.
And thou art beautiful.
We should be happy at a time like this.
Am I not happy? Is it not a joy to look into thy face, to hear thee speak?
Why should we not be happy? Why, when time has softened to the tenderness of grief the bitter recollection of the past, should we not be... Who spake?
I heard no voice.
Didst thou not say thy oath?
I did not speak.
'Twas fantasy. Who laughed?
Thyself.
Forgive my feebleness. What did I ask?
Why should we not be happy?
Ah, look there! My father comes! Oh, what a wedding guest! The grave could not withhold him. There he stands, as I beheld him last, pale, pale and dying. Oh, thou august and dreadful monitor, wouldst thou remind me of my broken vow? Art thou my marshal to eternity, or but the herald of thy own revenge?
Nay, Isidora.
Ah, he turns to thee. There's no forgiveness in his spectral glare. He spurns me from him with his filmy arms. Recoiling now, he draws his mantle's fold and, horror, points unto a reeking wound.
Alas, my love.
Vanishes in darkness.
Velasco, supporting her.
It was a delusion. Rouse thee, Isidora. O fate! Should she be... No, she breathes, she moves. Cheer, cheer, my love.
Music is heard.
Dost hear? The bridal train expect our coming. 'Twas a fleeting dream.
Is there no portent in the troubled air to blast my senses if I look around?
Ah, no, come forth. The blessed sunshine streams over the green earth, and every human heart is dancing in its brightness. Look and hear. Fair sights, glad sounds for us are fair and glad.
I hear a step. Whose is it?
Enter Julio and Carlos.
Mine own brother.
Julio.
Carlos to Velasco.
My lord, the king requires your presence.
Velasco and Julio regard each other a moment in silence. Velasco to Julio.
I thank thee that thou hast conveyed thy thoughts by looks, not words, which haply had been harsh. I need not tell thee, by my knighthood's faith I will account to thee for all in honour.
Exeunt Carlos and Velasco.
I knew thou wouldst return to me unharmed, that our false kinsman's words were false like him. Thrice welcome home, my own, my only brother. Is this thy greeting? No fraternal kiss, no arm to clasp me, and no voice to bless. Statue-like, silent, cold.
I give thee joy.
Oh, memory, it blazes on me now.
Thou art to wed, my sister. As I passed through the gay streets, I asked, what means this pageant? They told me it was Isidora's bridal. Through our own halls I strode. They were deserted. Not even a solitary watchdog growled. Then, hastening to the palace, I looked round searchingly on the bright-robed, laughing throng that through the royal valves moved to and fro, but could not find my father. Where's my father?
Go, ask the dead.
Ah.
Do not feign surprise. 'Tis useless cruelty. Thou knowest it all.
I do. But till I hear from thine own lips that thou wilt wed the homicide, I cannot credit the monstrous story.
It is true.
Thou shalt not do it.
Shalt not?
Oh, my sister, by the fond recollections of our childhood, of those bright days when we two, hand in hand, roamed through the fragrant fields in Andalusia.
Go on, go on. Oh, those were blessed days, that I might once again before I die welcome the morning with as light a heart.
By all that memory hallows of the past, by all that hope prefigures of the future, forgo these nuptials.
No, it is too late. My word is pledged.
Thy word? 'Tis well for thee to be so scrupulous, thou who hast so faithfully kept thy word unto the dead. That strikes home. Conscience is not yet torpid.
Oh, I am tried beyond my human strength. Spare me, my brother.
Wilt arrest these nuptials?
Never.
I do implore thee. I command thee.
It is in vain. I tell thee that the dead himself hath risen to fright me from my purpose. And dost thou hope by mortal agency to shake my steadfast, unappalled soul?
Then may the Furies wait upon thy nuptials. Despair and discord be thy marriage lot. And ere thy husband's kiss is on thy cheek, may thy wronged father's image shoot between, and with his angry eyes transfix thee, till thou art petrified with horror. If thou hast children, may they be fratricides, avenging upon each other's head their grandsire's doom.
Now do I fear that those keen miseries, those bitter pangs that should have broke my heart have made it hard as adamant. Or else why quailed I not beneath thy imprecations?
Music heard.
The bridegroom waits.
By force I will withhold thee. Sister, thou shalt not go to him.
Stand back! 'Tis fate's coercion hurries me along, and death must drag me at his chariot wheels ere we again are parted.
Exit.
She is gone. And what is frenzy she believes is fate? Shall I submit? No. No, it must not be. The terrible alternative is left.
Exit. Scene 3. The royal banquet room. A banqueting table superbly set out with vessels of wine, goblet, and etc. Enter Julio through the folding doors.
How like a cautious, trembling, guilty thing I glide with stealthy paces toward my purpose. Can that be good, of which the outward signs are the thief's posture and the coward's tread? Away, reflection! 'Tis too late to waver when half the crime is in the intent committed. Decision gives a virtue even to vice, and gilds its black deformity. Oh, think of all the fierce incentives to the act. Quick, The occasion's gone.
He advances rapidly towards the table, hesitates as he is about to poison the goblet, and finally, recoiling from the undertaking, rushes to the front of the stage.
Was I struck blind? Ere I could do the deed, a shadow fell on all around me, and the flashing board changed to funereal blackness. Indistinct was every object to my blasted sight, and the gemmed goblet faded, and the floor sank in, and reeled like the sea's undulations. I'll not renew the attempt.
A burst of sprightly music is heard from the distance.
Ah, they approach. With dulcimer and cymbal they approach. Ghost of my slaughtered father, now transfuse into this frame thy immaterial essence. Nerve the obedient muscles of mine arm, and be thine own avenger.
He again approaches the goblet, and with a steady hand infuses the poison. Just as he is turning from the perpetration of the deed, Carlos and Isidora appear at the door in the background. The former, after a significant gesture, withdraws, and the latter comes forward unperceived by Giulio, and lays her hand upon him, which causes him to start with terror.
It is done.
What hast thou done?
Sister, what have I done?
Ay, there is no evasion, for I know what thou hast done. Art thou my brother, Julio? Undo thy foul attempt. Undo it quickly, or by my hopes of heaven I will proclaim it.
Hold, 'is my turn to be the obdurate now. Dare to reveal it, and the lightning's flash is not more nimble than this steel shall be to make my vengeance certain. Hush, they come.
My brother, do not. I will stop these.
Hush.
He supports her. Enter to music Ferdinand with Velasco, followed by Delerma, Favio, Carlos, ladies, knights, and banner-bearers who form in the background.
Julio, thy prompt compliance claims our thanks. I bring to thee a brother. In that pledge, which is the sacred symbol of forgiveness, greet ye each other first. Then trumpets sound, and let us all hail the propitious union in flowing cups.
My liege, my heart goes with it, and I will play the Ganymede myself.
He leaves Isidora, who stands motionless and unconscious, but gradually revives as Velasco speaks. Giulio fills 2 goblets and hands the poisoned one to Velasco, who replaces it on the board so abruptly as to excite Giulio's apprehensions lest he is aware of the treachery. But Velasco advances and frankly offers him his hand.
Julio, thy hand. Thou makest me by this act bankrupt in gratitude. I slew thy father. My honour forced me, while my heart revolted. I will requite thee with a brother's kindness, cherish thy sister with a parent's care, and with a lover's duty. To our union.
As Velasco lifts the goblet, Isidora utters a faint exclamation, which arrests his hand. Giulio, aside to Isidora.
Beware.
What says the bride?
'Twas not. The joy, the transport. Come, our union.
Isidora, seizing the goblet from Velasco. Trembling, she returns the goblet to the cupbearer.
What wouldst thou, Isidora?
Taste it not. Thou wouldst not quaff before the bride has sipped.
I'll not be thwarted by thee.
Ah, prevent him.
My father aims the blow. It is Gonzales.
As Isidora springs to meet Velasco, he falls at her feet. Isidora, bending over him.
Oh, fatal treason! Terrible revenge!
Thy love supports me, and thy arm enfolds me. My ebbing sight heaves its last glance on thee. Thus dying, death is grateful. Oh, farewell.
Dies.
Are ye all speechless? I should be, were it not I know that I full soon shall follow him. Faint, very faint.
Seizes the poisoned goblet.
Here's that which shall revive me.
Drains it.
It is the poisoned goblet.
Not a drop remains for thee.
Gazing upon Velasco.
Alas, my only love, the brave, the glorious, and the beautiful. In death we are united, never more to part. The expiation is complete.
She sinks gradually away from the arms of her brother towards Velasco and dies. Curtain falls. End of Act 5. End of Velasco by Epes Sargent.
This audiobook is brought to you by Full Audiobooks. Please like, subscribe, and click the bell icon if you love audiobooks.